and today I'm going to show you how to make these cozy fall leg warmers. I would recommend, if you're going to use like a basic worsted acrylic yarn, those are roughly 200 plus yards, some have 300 plus yards. I would just get 2 balls to be safe because some of the variegated ones have less yardage, and these, because they are acrylic, are really easy to wash, so they would be great for gifts and markets, really, stuff like that. But today I'm just going to give you the recipe and show you how to do everything, and then you can really make any adjustments that you want to custom fit them to whoever you're making them for. I used a 5mm crochet hook and, again, worsted weight yarn. Again, you can change that if you feel comfortable. The only other thing I'd recommend, because sometimes I do this, since this is just going to be a tutorial, I don't have a written pattern. If you guys really like it and want a written pattern, I will do one, but until then, just as I go through the steps and I tell you how many rows to do, I would just jot that down on a piece of paper. That way, if you don't feel like it, or you're in an area where you can't refer to the video all the time, you'll have the quick notes for yourself right there where you can jump into the pattern. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we are going to start with the top cuff of our leg warmers. And to do that, we are going to chain 11. We are going to skip the first chain and work into the second chain from the hook. We're going to work 10 half double crochets all the way down. Okay. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we are going to work half double crochets again, but we're going to work in the back loop only. So we'll work in the back loop only. This will give us a ribbed effect for the cuff. And that is the pattern repeat for the cuff, well, the top cuff. So all you're going to do is chain your work, turn, work 10 half double crochets down these stitches here in the back loop only, and you'll continue doing that until you have 24 total rows. I just wanted to pop in the middle of working on this just to let you know, if you're having trouble counting how many rows you have, I always start from my chain edge here, so where I did my first row, that's your right side, and then this is your wrong side. So if you can see as we go through here, this is our wrong side, this little ridge here, and that's 2 rows, so I just count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. So we want a total of 24, not ridges, but 24 total rows. Okay, once you have your 24 rows, and again we're going to use our initial chain in our first row to identify the right side of our work, we're going to fold it and put right sides together with your working yarn and stitches in the back, and we'll chain 1, which I've already done. I'm going to work a slip stitch across all of these stitches here, so I'm going to put my hook through this stitch from this initial chain here, and then I'm gonna again just only work in the back loop of the stitches back here, and you'll want to do this loosely, so you'll have 10 stitches all the way up. If it's hard for you to loosely slip stitch, then just go up a hook size when you're doing this part. There's no need to pull the yarn tightly or anything like that. So we've made it to the edge. We are going to chain one again, and we're going to turn it right side out again. So you can see this is where we joined it, and it matches up with the rest of the pattern here, so it's as seamless as you can get. Now that we have turned it right side out and chained one, we're now going to work the body of the leg warmers, and for that we're going to be doing a V-stitch. Now I like to place my stitches in a very specific spot just for consistency and so it looks nice. So the ridges that we've created from doing the back loop half double crochets, that's where we're going to work our stitches. And we'll have our initial yarn tail as well, which we're going to crochet over. So you can see it forms like a V here, and we're going to go between that, but there's one at the top here. So we're going to go through there, and we're going to work 3 single crochet. And we're going to find our next ridge here, and in between that V up at the top, which it will look a little more closed than the rest of them, but you're going to find that stitch. It's going to feel like a large gap here, but we're putting 3 stitches in each, so it's going to even itself out, but it just looks neater than crocheting in here. And again, we're gonna work over our yarn tail and do 3 single crochet, and you'll continue doing that all the way around. Now if you'll notice, I haven't mentioned any finished stitch counts for when we get to the end. That's because the only other thing I'm going to recommend is you can make this for anyone, children all the way up to adults. So if the 24 rows is not big enough for wherever you want to, like however long you want your leg warmers to be, you just want to measure it around the widest part of your leg. So most people wear their leg warmers to their knee or above their calf. So your calf is most likely your widest measurement of your leg. So just measure it against that, or whomever else you're making them for, and then just increase 2 rows or decrease 2 rows. Same thing for the cuff stitches. If you don't want to do 10, if you want it to be wider or longer, you can go ahead and do that. This pattern is very forgiving in changing the stitch count, so you can again just keep doing your 3 single crochet, and I will meet you when we get to the end of the row. Now that we have worked our stitches, we're going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet, and then again for consistency here and to make it look all nice and even, since we did 3 single crochet in the top of each one of these ridges, it makes like a little mini shell. So to me it's easy to notice the center stitch at the top of each one. So I'm going to slip stitch into that center stitch and chain 4. That counts as your first double crochet and a chain 1. In that same stitch, you're going to work a double crochet, chain 1. Now this is your first V-stitch. You're going to go over to the next center stitch here. If you want to count, you're just skipping 2 stitches. So whatever's easier for you to remember, either just go to the center of the ridge, which is the middle of those 3 stitches, or just skip 2 and work into the 3rd. Whatever's easier for you to remember. So we're going to work a V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and just for this section of the pattern, we're going to chain 1 in between each V-stitch, and we're going to continue until we get to the end. And when we do, I will show you how to work up the next row. So once you've completed your last chain 1 stitch, you're just going to slip stitch into this first V stitch here and chain 4, and then you're just going to repeat the first row. So we'll do a double crochet in here again to finish this V stitch, followed by a chain 1, and then in this V stitch here we will work another V stitch and chain 1. Now we're going to repeat these until we have a total of 6 rounds. So I will meet you back when I get 6 total rounds. So we already have 1. We're starting our 2nd. Once you have 6 total, I will join you when we get there. So we have now crocheted 6 rounds of our V-stitch with a chain 1 in between. We're going to continue to work the rest of the body of the leg warmers. Now I'm just going to say one thing, because again you can customize this pattern to fit yourself or whomever you're making them for. This section here needs to cover the widest part of your calf, okay? So if your calves are taller than this or wider than this, whatever the case may be, then continue working this for however many more rows you need to before you do the next row, because what I'm going to do next is a decrease. Because if you'll notice here, there's a taper in the width just to kind of match the shape of our legs. But again, you can change this pattern up however you need to. I'll also say again, if you had to do more rounds here, it should still equate here if you followed everything else throughout. So we're going to continue with the next round, which is a decrease, and it's very easy. All we're going to do is chain 4, double crochet in that same stitch, and instead we're just not going to chain 1. We're going to go over to that next V stitch and work another V stitch, which is just a double crochet, chain 1, a double crochet in the same space. We're just going to continue doing that all the way around. So there is no chain 1 space between the V stitches, but you have to work 1 chain stitch in between your double crochets to make a V stitch. So what we're going to do is 10 rounds of this. So when you are done with the body of your leg warmers, you should have a total of 16 V-stitch rounds. 6 of those rounds have a chain 1 in between and 10 do not. So once you get your 10 rounds done of this V-stitch pattern here, I will show you how to do the bottom cuff. So we are chugging along quickly, and we are almost done. Alright, so we're at the last little bit here. We just need to do this bottom cuff. We're going to do one setup round for that, and I will show you how to do that right now. So the V stitches that we worked, all we're going to do is 3 single crochet in the middle of each V stitch, all the way around. And that will be our setup so that we can do the bottom cuff. And again, you can try this on if you're making it for yourself, and just make sure everything fits comfy. If you need to add stitches to anything or add rows to anything, it's a very forgiving pattern, so I'll just say that, you know, this video just gives you a good solid recipe, and you can just make your own adjustments as you need to. We have made it all the way around, so we are going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, and then we are going to work our bottom cuff. Now you can again change the stitch count to make it wider or thinner, whatever you want to do. We are going to, in my case, chain 7, and along this chain, starting from the second stitch from the hook, we are going to do 6 half double crochet. Okay. Once we get our 6 stitches done, we are going to skip 2 stitches and slip stitch into the next and chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work. So we are working along these 6 stitches back and forth the same way we did the beginning cuff, but we're also going to have to join it to our crochet leg warmer as we're doing it. So now that we have chained 1 and turned, you're gonna skip this slip stitch here, and then you'll have 6 stitches up this way, and we're gonna work in the back loop only, and we're gonna do 6 half double crochet. We will chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to do 6 half double crochet in the back loop down this row. We join it to our base here, so you can see we have slip stitched into here. So again, we're just going to skip 2 stitches, and we will slip stitch into the third, chain 1 and turn, 6 half double crochet up in the back loop only, chain 1 and turn, and 6 half double crochet down the row. Okay, and again you can see where we've slip stitched. We're going to skip 2 stitches and slip stitch into the third, and we're just going to repeat that all the way around. When we get to about here, I'm going to come back and show you how to finish it off, because you don't want to make too many rows here. Okay, so we have made it to where we just have 2 stitches left. If you have more or less, again, this is just a recipe, doesn't have to be perfect. The only thing you want to do is make sure you have at least a few stitches in between here. We have worked down. We've done our slip stitch already. So we're at the point we're gonna chain and turn. And then we are going to do our usual half double crochet in the back loop all the way up to the top here. And we want this to be at the top because we are going to join this together. So you could flip the whole thing inside out. I just flip it to smush it together like this so your right sides are together. And you're just gonna work into the chain from one side and the back loop from the other side, and you're just gonna slip stitch them together. You want to do this loosely. If you have really tight tension when you slip stitch, just go up a hook size. This doesn't have to be perfect, just slip stitch it together. I would still try to make sure you go in the back loop of this row behind you and the chain from this row in front of you, but other than that, if you end up with more or less slip stitches to get down to the bottom, it's no big deal. And then I do work a slip stitch into that single crochet row that we have done. You're gonna pull up your yarn and now you can weave in all your ends and you're done. If you want to, before you cut your yarn, just try this on again and see if you need to make any adjustments to it. But other than that, you now have a nice cozy set of leg warmers.